Welcome to Part 5 of the Nutrition and Weight Loss class. This section covers fats and reading a food label. So when I say fat, what foods come to mind? Fat-containing foods include oils, butter, margarine, meats, poultry and fish, nuts, dairy, and grains. Now when we're looking at grains, it's generally the oils and butters that are used to make these products that is where the fat is coming from. It's not going to be from the flours. Remember, those contain carbohydrates. Now fats play a role in a variety of body functions. Because they are so common in our diets, limited intake is recommended. Remember that 1 gram of fat equals 9 calories. We want to choose more unsaturated fats versus saturated fats. Unsaturated fats are liquid at room temperature. Saturated fats are solid at room temperature. And all people should avoid trans fats, which we'll discuss here in a moment. Now, while you had a goal for protein and carbohydrates, there is actually no goal for fat. We just want to consume healthy fats in moderation. So let's look at what are examples of unsaturated fats. As I said, you want to choose more unsaturated fats. These are our heart-healthy fats. They include fish, flaxseed, soybean, olive oil, canola oil, nuts, avocado, corn oil, safflower oil, sunflower oil, and soybean oil. Saturated fats are not heart-healthy. These generally come from animal products, including beef, pork, veal, lamb, full-fat dairy, hydrogenated vegetable oils, cocoa butter, coconut oil, and palm oil. So we want to be careful about the amounts of saturated fats we are consuming. Trans fats should be avoided or eliminated altogether. Trans fats are directly linked with heart disease, and no one should be consuming trans fats. So we want to remove the shortening sticks and margarine. And if anything says partially hydrogenated oil in the ingredient list, put it back on the shelf. Here are some common foods and the fat content in them. 3 ounces of chicken breast has 3 grams of fat. 3 ounces of salmon, 5 grams of fat. A tablespoon of olive oil, 14 grams of fat. And an ounce of almonds, 15 grams of fat. Now remember, I said for every gram of fat, there's 9 calories. So if we're looking at that tablespoon of olive oil at 14 grams of fat, each tablespoon of olive oil is going to be about 120 calories. How many grams of fat and calories do you think are found in butter? It's actually a trick question. 14 grams of fat and about 120 calories. A tablespoon of fat is a tablespoon of fat, whether it's olive oil or butter. Yes, olive oil is more heart healthy, so making the swap from butter to olive oil is preferred, but we still need to be cognizant that those grams of fat add up in extra calories. So if you take a cup of broccoli and you're sauteing it in a pan with a tablespoon of olive oil, the broccoli is low in fat, so it's going to act like a sponge and soak up that 120 calories of olive oil. So now your 30-calorie cup of broccoli is 150 calories. An ounce of nuts can range anywhere from 140 to 160 calories. A cup of nuts contains 500 calories. While it is heart healthy, we still need to watch portions. So how can we reduce your overall fat intake? Remove visible fat from meats. Use nonstick sprays or broth to cook with versus oil or butter. Practice healthy cooking methods, baking, broiling, roasting, grilling, and steaming. Avoid excess condiment use, limit to the serving size. And choose items low in fat. So that would be less than 5 grams per serving. So now let's look at a food label. It's important after surgery that you are your own food detective. Your first line of defense is going to be at the grocery store. So you need to become familiar with what to look at when you're looking at a nutrition facts label. The first area we want to look at is the serving size. The serving size designates how much of that product is the general recommended consumption. And then, as you can see, this label, the serving size is 3/4 of a cup. So for every 3/4 of a cup of this product, you will see 110 calories, 1 gram of fat, 23 grams of carbohydrates, 10 grams of sugar, and 13 grams of protein. The serving size in this container is 14 servings. So if we're having more than the serving size, we need to multiply that number based on the number of servings we are having. So remember earlier, we discussed the 7 to 100 gram ratio for protein. We also discussed that we should not be consuming more than 15 grams of sugar per meal. So let's look at some examples of food labels for some common foods and see if they're appropriate for after surgery. We'll start with this chewy granola bar. So the serving size is 1 bar, and there's 20 servings per container, so a box of 20 bars, but you are just going to have 1 bar. Would this be an appropriate food after surgery? The answer is no. There was only 2 grams of protein for 140 calories, and it had 15 grams of sugar. We generally recommend not teetering on the line. Some individuals might experience dumping syndrome at a lower threshold than 15. So generally, if it is at the 15, I wouldn't try it. Now let's look at a protein bar. The serving size is 1 bar. There's 6 bars in the container, but you're just going to have 1 bar. Would this be an appropriate food after surgery? The answer is yes. There's 21 grams of protein and 180 calories. So that definitely meets that criteria for 7 to 100. And there's only 3 grams of sugar. You might notice this product also contains sugar alcohols. Sugar alcohols can be used in products to reduce the overall added sugar intake. Sugar alcohols can still cause dumping syndrome when consumed in excess. Also, excessive sugar alcohol intake can lead to some gastrointestinal distress. So we still want to be mindful of the amount coming in. Next is part 6, weight gain and maintenance calories.